The room reacted like a body. Relief, anger, fear. Mr. Haskins whispered. Shoes quiet, phones off, eyes level. He cracked the door open. Hallway air pushed in. Bleach, metal, wet pennies, old mop water. The hallway lights were dead. Only thin, weird daylight leaked from the distant windows. Exit signs glowed red. The first thing I noticed was the lockers. They didn't look arranged right. Doors stuck out slightly, like they'd been yanked. Deep dents that weren't normal school dents, more like concentrated impacts. We stepped out. The hallway felt longer than it should have been. The distance to the nearest intersection looked stretched, like someone tugged the corridor. I blinked hard. Mr. Haskins whispered, "Stay close." We moved in small steps. My sneakers sounded too loud on the tile. I tried to step on already scuffed spots so I wouldn't make fresh squeaks. My brain was clinging to anything. As we passed the classroom next door, I saw something through the bottom gap of the door. A hand. At first, I thought it was a person reaching out. Then I realized it wasn't a hand. Too long, too many joints, a glove filled with extra fingers. Still, resting on the tile like it had been placed there on purpose. Mr. Haskins kept his eyes forward. I kept mine level and low. We reached the water fountain. Mr. Haskins pressed the bar. Nothing. Pressed harder. A weak cough of water sputtered and died. He tried the second fountain. Nothing. My stomach dropped like I missed a step. Then we heard the tapping. Fast, light, fingernails. It came from the main stairwell direction, moving toward us. Mr. Haskins grabbed my sleeve and pulled me back. We moved fast, but tried to stay quiet, which made it worse. My foot slid and squeaked. The sound felt like I'd thrown a rock into a still pond. The tapping paused. Pressure pinched behind my eardrums for a second. The air felt thicker. Mr. Haskins hissed, "Move!" We reached our door. He fumbled the key, hands shaking. The tapping got louder. Something moved into view at the far end of the hall. I didn't look straight at it. I saw the way you see something in the corner of your eye when you're trying not to. Low to the ground, many-limbed, not symmetrical. Limbs moving in layered rhythms, like different parts of it were on different tempos. It didn't run like an animal. It flowed, sliding and stepping at once, like the floor belonged to it. Mr. Haskins got the key and click. He shoved the door open and pushed me in hard enough I stumbled. He slammed it. The handle wriggled immediately on the other side. Once, twice, then stopped. Silence. We stood there breathing like we'd sprinted. Tyler's face went gray when he saw we had no water. "Fountains are dead," Mr. Haskins whispered. A collective despair hit the room. You could feel it, like the temperature dropped. "So what do we do?" Jaden whispered. Mr. Haskins stared at the floor. "We find another source. Cafeteria, teacher lounge, science lab. Anywhere with a sink." "That's more engagement," Nina whispered. Mr. Haskins looked at her, and his expression wasn't just fear or authority. It was apology. "I know," he said, "but dehydrating isn't safety either." Eli whispered, "They want you to choose." Nobody argued. We all knew it. The hallway run changed the room. Before, we were waiting. Now we were calculating. Routes, risks, resources. It also proved the school didn't feel neutral anymore. The corridor felt stretched. The air shifted like sound mattered. The lockers looked wrong. Late afternoon slid into night. Service was basically gone. Texts hung, batteries drained because people kept checking as if checking could fix it. Mia got worse, shaking, distant. Nina kept holding her hand and whispering to her. Seth started making stupid comments again, not because it was funny, because silence was too loud. Mr. Haskins warned him. Seth stopped, then started again. Eli's murmuring turned into humming, like he was matching a tone in the air. Night didn't arrive like it should. The daylight staggered. The stripes on the floor sharpened, softened, sharpened. The room got cooler, then warmer, then cooler again, in short waves. Mason, quiet sophomore, whispered, "Does it feel like the walls are closer?" Nobody answered, but when I pressed my palm against the wall behind me, it felt warmer than painted cinder blocks should feel. My hand didn't like it. Then the intercom clicked on again. Not Darnell. A different man's voice, low and controlled, static under every word.
Attention. If you are hearing this, remain indoors. Keep away from windows. Do not attempt it.
Static swallowed the rest. The intercom popped off. "That wasn't Darnell," Jaden whispered. Mr. Haskins swallowed. "No." We tried shifts. 2 people awake, door, ceiling. It didn't work well because nobody trusted sleep. People drifted into half sleep and jolted awake at every distant thump. Around what I guessed was 9, the knocking started. Tap, tap, tap. 3 taps. Silence. Tap, tap, tap. Again. Eli whispered, "Don't answer." Nobody moved. The knocks changed. Sometimes 2 taps, sometimes 3. Once, a long, slow scrape that made my teeth ache. It went on long enough that my brain started trying to pattern it, like understanding would help. Then it stopped, and immediately down the hall, someone screamed. Sharp, short, cut off too fast. A thump, then dragging, low and steady. We sat in the dark and listened. The first day wasn't just fear. It was training, whether we wanted it or not. It taught us which sounds meant ignore it, and which sound meant someone is being taken. Sometime later, Seth whispered, "I have to pee." Nobody laughed. Mr. Haskins said, exhausted, "We're not leaving the room." "I'm not asking to go sightseeing," Seth snapped. "I'm asking not to piss myself." Mr. Haskins exhaled, looked around, saw an empty water bottle and the corner by the supply cabinet. "We'll use that corner," he said quietly. "We'll give privacy." My face burned anyway. Seth went to the corner while people turned their heads. After, nobody spoke about it. I thought the ceiling thing earlier was the worst it would get. Then the classroom across the hall started making noise. A scrape, a thud, a sustained sound like a desk being dragged. Then, a voice. "Mr. Haskins." It sounded like Mr. Rowe, the history teacher. Mr. Haskins stiffened. "Mr. Haskins?" The voice called again. "Are you in there?" Mr. Haskins didn't answer. His stare fixed on the door like responding could get someone killed. "We need help," the voice said. "We have students injured. Open your door." The words were right. The tone wasn't. Same flat, wrong emphasis as Olivia's mimic voice. Imitation without the shape of emotion. Mr. Haskins whispered, "Do not respond." Eli whispered, "It wants you to." The voice softened. "Ben?" It said. Cold hit my gut. Immediate. It said my name like it was trying it on. I didn't answer. My throat locked. "Ben," it repeated. "Your mother is on the phone. Open your door." Mia made a small sound like she might faint. Nia squeezed her hand harder. Mr. Haskins stepped closer to the door, not to open it, but to put himself between it and us. His shoulders shook slightly, like rage and fear were both trying to drive. The voice tried again. "Open the door." Then it changed tactics. Light tapping, patterned, almost conversational, like it was practicing being polite. Mr. Haskins did nothing. Silence stretched. Then from above us, The ceiling shifted again. Careful wait. Multiple points this time. Dust sifted down. A tile sagged. Then another. Then another. Mr. Haskins raised the yardstick, hands shaking hard now. The first tile slid sideways. A cluster of limbs appeared, jointed wrong, layered like the inside of a folding chair if folding chairs were alive. A limb lowered, tapped the desk, tapped again closer. Another tile slid, another set of limbs. They weren't rushing. They were sampling the room like it was a lab. Eli whispered, almost reverent. They're checking. The limbs paused. My hearing went dull for a beat, then snapped back. I tasted metal. Then one limb moved toward Mia. Slow, definite. Mia made a tiny choking sound and jerked back. The movement felt like a mistake the second it happened. The limb snapped toward her, fast, tapped her shoulder through her hoodie. Mia froze like she'd been tagged. Her eyes lifted, not toward a window, upward, as if the ceiling had become a sky. Nina whispered frantic, "Mia, don't!" Mia's lips moved. Then she whispered, calm and empty, "It's calling." Mr. Haskins lunged, grabbed Mia's face gently but firmly, pushed her gaze down. "Look at me," he whispered harshly. "Down here, Mia. Mia." Mia blinked. She started shaking hard, like her body rebooted. The limbs withdrew slightly, adjusting. Mr. Haskins slammed the yardstick on a desk again. The crack filled the room. The limbs snapped back upward. The ceiling tiles slid into place like a closing eyelid. The room exhaled all at once. Mia's breathing was ragged. Nina was crying silently now, tears sliding without sound. Mr. Haskins backed up, yardstick still in hand. "That was close," he whispered. Eli whispered, "It marked her." "No," Mr. Haskins snapped. Denial with desperation. "No." But Mia's hoodie had a faint, wet spot where the limb tapped, darkened like condensation, like something left residue. Mia kept touching it like she couldn't stop. I don't know if what happened next was because of that, or because we were already in a spiral and reality was picking its moment. Seth stood up abruptly. "I can't do this." "Seth!" Mr. Haskins snapped. "Sit down." Seth turned towards the blinds. I don't think he meant to look out. I think his body was doing panic math. Air, space, exit. But his hand reached for the blind cord anyway. Nina screamed, "Seth!" Mr. Haskins surged forward, grabbing Seth's wrist. Seth yanked back. The cord snapped in Mr. Haskins' grip, and the blinds rattled, slats flipping slightly, letting in a wider slice of outside light for a fraction of a second. Nobody looked. I didn't look, but the light hit the floor thicker, and it felt wrong, heavy, like it had pressure. Seth froze mid-yank. His face went blank the same way Eli's had. He whispered, soft and calm, "Oh." Mr. Haskins clamped Seth's wrist. "Eyes down," he whispered. "Seth, down." Seth's eyes lifted anyway, drawn upward like there was a magnet in the ceiling. He smiled, slow. "It sees me," he whispered. Mr. Haskins moved to block his view, grabbed Seth's face the way he'd done with Mia, forcing his gaze down. "Seth," he hissed, "fight it." Seth's body went slack, like he gave up. Then above us, something responded immediately, like a sensor tripped. The tiles trembled. A limb punched through the gap without sliding the tile this time. Fast, violent, tile cracked. Dust rained down. The limb hooked around Seth's shoulder. Seth screamed, a full human scream that made my stomach flip. Mr. Haskins swung the yardstick and hit the limb. Metal on something that wasn't quite flesh and wasn't quite hard. A wet clang, like hitting a drum full of water. The limb recoiled, but didn't let go. It tightened. Seth's scream turned into choking. The limb hauled upward. Seth's feet scraped tile. Shoes squealed. He grabbed Mr. Haskins' arm. Mr. Haskins grabbed back, both of them straining. For a second, it was a tug-of-war with the ceiling. Then the ceiling won. Seth got yanked up hard enough to thud against the grid. Tile shattered. Dust and white chunks rained down like dirty snow. Seth's legs kicked once, then he was gone. Pulled into the ceiling like the ceiling was the mouth. The grid snapped back into place in a jerky way. The broken tile didn't close fully, leaving a jagged gap like a missing tooth. Nobody made a sound. Even breathing felt loud. Mia made a sound like she was trying to inhale, but couldn't. Nina froze, hands over her mouth, eyes wide. Jaden whispered something that didn't finish. Mr. Haskins stood under the broken gap, yardstick still raised, breathing like he'd been punched. His face was wet, tears, not sweat. Not dramatic, just his body doing what bodies do. Eli whispered, calm as ever. That's what engagement is. Mr. Haskins turned on him with a look that could have killed a normal person. Shut up. Eli didn't smile. It's the rule, he whispered. We didn't move for a long time. Moving felt dangerous all by itself. Seth being gone wasn't movie chaos. It was an absence hanging in the air, like we were waiting for the building to spit him back out, and it never would. Eventually, Mr. Haskins forced himself to speak. His voice broke. He swallowed. We survived the night. Jaden's eyes shone. Seth is... Mr. Haskins didn't answer. Saying it felt like making it permanent. Mia whispered, They took him. Nina nodded once, stiff. The jagged ceiling gap showed darkness above that didn't feel like ceiling darkness. It felt deep, like there was space where pipes and insulation should have been. We moved away from it slowly. Mr. Haskins slid a desk under the gap, not as a block, more like a marker. Don't stand here. We tried to settle, tried to breathe. The hall outside went quiet, then alive again with soft tapping and dragging. Multiple things now. Sometimes you'd hear the scrape stop outside our door and just wait. Then it would go away. At some point, a voice tried the door again. Seth.
Open the door,
It said softly. My stomach turned to ice. It wasn't Seth. It had his sound, but worn wrong. Wrong pauses, wrong timing. Someone using the file without understanding it.
Open the door.
It repeated, It's safe. Mia whimpered. Mr. Haskins whispered, Do not respond. The voice changed, trying another hook. Ben, it said again, my name clean and correct in a way that made my teeth ache.
Your mom is here.
I closed my eyes and pressed my forehead to my knees. I tried to think of something stupid and solid. The smell of my mom's coffee creamer. The thump of our washing machine when it's off balance. Anything that wasn't that door. The voice waited, tapped 3 times, left. It didn't rush. That part messed with me. Like it knew we'd still be here tomorrow. I tried to sleep. I couldn't. Every time my eyes closed, I saw Seth's shoes scraping tile. Heard the ceiling crack, felt dust falling. I also kept thinking about the hallway feeling stretched, like the building's layout was being messed with when we weren't looking. At some point, I realized something I didn't want to realize, and it didn't come out as a clean thought. It came in pieces. The warning wasn't some random, don't do this rule. It was about attention. The sky, the ceiling, the up. It wasn't just direction. It was a way in. If your attention went there, it became easier to grab. If you kept it down, kept it small, it stayed harder to find. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. My tongue still tasted like pennies, and Seth's scream kept replaying like a bad audio clip. An active engagement wasn't just fighting. It was anything that made you easy to track, responding, moving loud, making yourself a point in space. Like we were being tested for pattern. Near what I guess was midnight, the outside light flickered again, brighter than before, like a camera flash from somewhere too big. Nobody looked. Nobody spoke. We sat in the dark with dead phones and stale air and the smell of sweat and dust, listening to the building settle and shift. Mr. Haskins whispered, barely audible, "May move tomorrow." "Where?" Jaden whispered. Mr. Haskins' voice was rough. "To water. To supplies. We can't sit here and wait to be picked." Mia whispered, "What if moving makes it worse?" Mr. Haskins didn't lie. "It might." Eli whispered, "It will." Mr. Haskins didn't argue. Arguing felt like feeding something. The hallway made soft noises all night. Dragging, tapping, wet clicks. Once, a heavy thump like something dropped. Once, a distant scream that cut off too fast. Somewhere in the building, glass shattered far away. It sounded like a window giving up. I didn't look up. I didn't tilt my head. I stared at the Florida-shaped chip in the tile, the gum fossil, Nina's sneaker, the dark patch on Mia's hoodie. My phone died completely. Screen black, no glow, just dead weight in my hand. In that dead quiet, Eli whispered one last thing before going still. "They're learning how to stay." Mr. Haskins whispered back, voice like sandpaper, "We are too." I didn't feel brave. I felt like a cornered animal with a brain that wouldn't stop noticing irrelevant details. The stale sweetness of Mia's lip balm, the way the wall behind my shoulder felt warm, faint tick sound the ceiling grid made, sometimes as it settled. Underneath the fear was an uglier understanding. If we were going to survive a week, we weren't going to do it by hiding in one classroom forever. At some point, we would have to move. And the second we moved, we'd be doing the very thing the alert warned about. Engaging. Outside, beyond the blinds, the sky flickered again, softer this time. A slow blink. Nobody looked. We just listened and waited. That was the end of the first day. Some stories end when the words stop. Others don't end at all. If you enjoyed this story, there are many more waiting in the dark. Until next time.